Nice to see everyone tonight. And after a rather long absence, we have John Rasmussen with us again. John is initiated into an ancient stream of earth wisdom and shamanic wisdom through his contact and study with the Q'ero Indians in Peru, in South America. The Q'ero themselves go back to pre-Inca times and are the carriers of a rather profound knowledge of the earth and earthly wisdom. So John is going to talk to us tonight about bringing harmony into our lives and lead us in a shamanic journey and ritual. So please join me in welcoming John Rasmussen.
Thank you, Emery. Okay, good to see you all. So this is this particular solstice is a unique one. I've heard a 70-year event because the full moon's landing on the exact time of the solstice, and it's what they call the natives of the Americas called the strawberry moon, because this is the time when it would mark the strawberries starting to bloom, the wild strawberries, of course. So we have a very unique situation, 70-year opportunity to bring unity and harmony to ourselves and to the world. And there's enough of us here to make that happen, believe it or not. Because we are at a time right now as well where the veil is sort of exposed, not there. Everything that we need to look at, I think in a sense we're being forced to look at. In the shamanic traditions, there's an easy way and a hard way to do everything. And so the easier way is through ceremony, through ritual, like we're doing tonight. And the hard way is to just sort of let it happen to you at work and in your relationships and all these other ways in life. Internally, psychologically, this is the big issue right now, is that the psychological is at odds to some degree with the knowledge and wisdom of the rest of our being, which is much bigger and more deep than just our frontal lobe that contains our psychology. So it's really a matter of getting that in line with the rest, with that wisdom. And this happens through communication. So unity and harmony, what keeps that away? What keeps that from happening? And the only thing is miscommunication, lack of communication. Because as Emery mentioned, I've been trained and carried the medicine of the Q'ero Indians of Peru, but really what makes them unique is that because of their isolation in the last 500 years, they've really maintained the kind of universality that you would find in every other part of the world. Before, communication became something that was used to divide instead of unite. Because really the core of our being, the core of who we are, is very universal. It's already, by its nature, it's harmonious and it's united. Different people, different cultures, different races, everything is not as different as we we perceive in our little frontal lobe here. So I had studied before meeting the Q'ero just about every other tradition, every other healing modality, shamanism, religion, spiritual practices for the last 30 plus years, my 52-year time in this body, and always found the unique commonality the commonality amongst everything, universality amongst everything, and felt the trueness of that. So when I look around at things going on in the world, and I look around at divisions, and I look within at divisions, it's a little bit easier for me to broaden my perspective to create that communication necessary to find the commonality, to unite, to bring into harmony. So I want to help all of you get that really tonight in a way that then you can carry it forward always, the rest of your life. That this is something becomes your medicine. It becomes something that everywhere you go, people are compelled to find that same sort of unity and harmony. And before we do anything here, because shamanism is really much less about the words, and much more about the energetics and the unconscious, subconscious, mythic layers of our being. So that'll be the journey that we do in the ritual. Before we do that, we like to create sacred space. So we want to call on the forces of nature, of the physical worlds and the non-physical worlds, to hold us in this space in a way that essentially leaves all of our concerns and our experiences and our stories out. And so we have no affinity, nothing to attract, anything to mess with us, at least in this space for this period of time. Okay, so the way we do this is we're going to all face the south first in each direction. I'm going to use my rattles and my sacred oils here, the cedar, sage, frankincense, myrrh, all of the different cleansing plants and alcohol with my breath, kamayok in Quechua, the power of the breath to clear the space. And I know you'll feel it. And I'd love for you in your own mind as I'm doing my words to also include all of that which in your own personal experience in life, religious beliefs, spiritual traditions, you would also want to call upon and have be here. And they're always with us, but it's a matter of being grateful, being in a place of gratitude for that. Okay, so let's stand and face the south, which is this direction here. So, as I was saying, the way to unify and to bring harmony is to create clear communication. But it starts with us, it starts within, and then we have the ability to do it without. And you'd be amazed at just how much we've been taught really not to listen to our hearts and bodies. We've been taught that the mind knows everything, the mind is who we are, right? And it's been going on for a long time, so it's a bit of a habit. And then it's, external division is my mind against yours, my ideas against yours, your ideology, my ideology. Should we do it this way or that way? What kind of world do you want to live in? But if we stopped for a moment, and the thing about the summer solstice here is that this is the moment that the sun stops in its track heading towards the north and begins to head south, okay, from the tilt of the earth. So we can think of it in terms of time stops. So when we do shamanic healing rituals, our goal is to just stop time. Because if we can stop time, then we stop the momentum of all of our habits and all of our stories and all the old ways of being divided and not communicating well. And we have an opportunity to just shift it all right away. It's like my teachers would say, it's sort of like if your whole life and everything you believe and everything you've experienced is like a truck going 70 miles an hour down the road, and in the back is all your stuff, right? Your story, your refrigerator, your stove, all your things. And you decide that you want to make a little bit of a change. It would be helpful to the world and to you and your experience if you were able to make a certain change in any respect, in any part of your life. You wanted to change the world in some way, which again starts with you. We think that, we can just crank the wheel, make the turn. But at 70 miles an hour with all your stuff, guess what goes tumbling and flying out the back, right? Your life falls apart. A lot of people experience this when they decide to start a healing journey, because there's no way you can sort of stop it once you've started. Just like right now, this particular alignment of all the stars and the planets has that, like I said, that sort of veil is lifted. There's sort of no way not to look at what's going on and deal with it right now. That's why a lot of people are kind of losing their minds. There's this psychological breaks and crises and mass shootings and all these kinds of things, and the election process. I mean, I don't have to point everything out. So it's crazy, right? It's insane, right? So, but that's the point. If you don't deal with it in an easier, more graceful, elegant way, it comes out very dramatic and very, very destructive, potentially. So this group here now has the opportunity, and anyone who ends up watching the videos has an opportunity to, do it the easy, graceful way. And it's eminently more powerful when you do something deliberate like that. This is just a group of people being very deliberate and conscious about making this shift counters millions doing it in a different way. There's just so much more power in all of us coming together, unifying, like here. But it's also true within you. You see, the only thing that can really mess with you, the only way that you could ever attract sort of negative energy or enemies or this type of thing, is where you're doing it to yourself, where you're divided within. And it's really simple and subtle. It's really just like subtle doubts. Am I enough? Am I not? Did I learn enough or not? Am I good enough or not? That's a division within you. That's an argument within you. Is what I'm feeling okay or not? That's your brain going, is this okay? And it's a battle all of a sudden. You have your own division, your own lack of harmony and unity. So it's really a powerful thing to stop doing that. And it's one thing to just tell you stop doing that. But we're going to support it with our ritual, and so we're going to support it on the deepest level of your being. We're going to help you on an energetic and a mythic level to support your brain not having those questions and those doubts and those judgments within. Because you're human, and every human has all of the qualities available as any other human on the planet, even the most extremes. And that's that shadow work I've talked about before, about embracing that within you. When you embrace violence or any of these other funky qualities we're seeing out there within you, even though you don't ever exhibit them, perhaps, then there's no longer a division. Then you're unified, and your power is so much greater, and you have an influence on the rest of the world to do the same. You've probably seen some articles. There was a really good article recently about the collective, I think it was Deepak Chopra, how Donald Trump is reflecting our collective shadow. It's like, yeah, there is that. There's some of that going on. So, a total harmonizing and unity within is in effect that putting down of your internal weapons, so to speak, and coming into this place of just your natural love and harmony that's at the core of actually everyone, every human being. And this is what's interesting. If you could have clear communication, really sit down and without the fears and without the defensiveness and without all that stuff, go, what kind of world would you like to live in? Anybody, I don't care who it is. Any of these characters that we think are, completely gone. And if you could really get them to know deep within and explore and search, well, what would be the ideal world? No, everybody, just everybody enjoying as much of their life as they want, everybody having the experience. It's not a difficult, complex answer. The complexity comes in how do we get there? And there it starts. There it starts. And most of the answers that would involve, if I could just get rid of all of them, then the world will be the way I want it, right? Which is, come from because they don't understand them. They don't understand that they also want that and that they would cooperate and work with you. You don't have to get rid of them. And if we could just do healing, And so that, again, it's just miscommunication, right? Do you see that? Do you see how it's just misinformation, lack of communication. When Emery was talking about me being out for a while, it's because I had a brain surgery. I had a little cyst inside my skull that was pushing against my brain, and it was causing some symptoms finally after 52 years. And I was fascinated by the way the neurosurgeons talked about it. They said, okay, we're going to open up the skull, and there's this membrane, and it's trapping the fluid, and we're going to cut a hole in the membrane so this part can communicate with that part. It's like, oh. I just thought the fluid would drain. Like my vernacular would be like, okay, you're going to make a hole so the fluid can go out. But they would say, no, it's communicate, so that we created communication. It's like, oh, how interesting. The fluid can communicate from that part to this part. So it's kind of like a flow. You think about communication, it's a flow that's natural, that should be there. There should be movement involved. So communication means that wherever I'm stuck, if you communicate well with me, I can get unstuck. I can move from my rigid belief, my rigid, woundedness and fears to another place. And then in that place, perhaps we can find enough agreement to cooperate. We don't have to like each other. We don't have to want to hang out with each other. This isn't about oneness in terms of everybody just is the same and we all just sit around and stare at each other. No, we came here for drama. We came here for difference and diversity and differences of opinion and tension and pain and pleasure. That's what the world is actually about. But it doesn't have to be ugly. You know what I mean? It doesn't have to be like, we're seeing. It's just, let's communicate clear enough so that we could decide we don't want to hang out. That's okay, But we don't have to stop each other, kill each other, get each other to agree with me. I don't need any, we don't need that. So that's that's where we get a little bit hung up. We get hung up in the idea that everybody has to agree completely and oh, well then it's impossible. We'll never get there. So let's just kill them. Do you know what I mean? Which of course none of you would think, but you've got to allow for the possibility that people see that as an actual option, which is crazy, but this is the point. If they had another understanding and they were communicated with in terms of another option, then we wouldn't do that, right? So anyway, any questions about that? Any thoughts? Any concerns? Anything you want to bring up that? Can you find any way in yourself that you are missing communication?
I have a question with respect to, with respect to people who I'd like to remove from the earth.
Mm-hmm.
Then, yay, society can just blossom and be beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
And that's with sexual assault, with my personal journey issues and whatnot. And I'd really like to know, on this path how do you communicate? You open your throat, chakras and talk about your assault out loud with a lot of people, or, you go on about your life doing the thing while these other people are walking around, these rapists, if you will, allow me to say that. You know,
Yeah.
how do you find balance in that world? In this world where that is this, and Brock, I forget his last
Yeah.
name, Stanford guy, is walking around.
Yes.
Yes.
Um,
Thank you.
yeah, thanks. The shamanic approach and view to that, the reason that people do heinous things to other people, fundamentally, whether it's any kind of assault, sexual assault clearly is a big one, because the world's so out of balance with the masculine and the feminine. That's the biggest issue. That's the core of every issue. I speak about it a lot. I write about it. The Carol talk about it, where the feminine, which was essentially meant, this is a feminine-based world. Women, all things feminine, were meant to be essentially in charge and respected as such, and making decisions, policy decisions. And the masculine, and you could categorize, a lot of men in that, are meant to be able to respect that and not be so afraid of it that they don't have the courage to sit with that fear. See, we've made fear such a bad thing that people don't know how to deal with it, and there is fear, frightening, things can happen. There could be a big earthquake. Fear is normal.
Mhm.
There are, jaguars can be scary, jungles can be scary. All the wild, untamable feminine things that this earth is made up can hurt us.
Mhm.
Hurt happens. It's part of the theater. Pleasure and pain. That's okay. The contrast of interacting, right? The like I said, it's not just about being all blissed out. We have to have some theater, so people will get hurt. People will hurt other people, and we will cry and scream and yell when it's happened, and then process it and release it, and recognize that the only reason that people tend to do those things is that they are deeply wounded inside from perhaps lifetimes of their own victim, perpetrator, rescuer trap, and also genetically, ancestrally at times, and that's the work that I do to clear and heal all that stuff. Shamans, we wake up every day and we do this work to try and clear those things that we do the easy way, so we don't act out on them the hard way, where people get hurt, they get assaulted and such. And so that's the deeper part of that, is that men like that need to be healed. They need to understand the way nature actually works, and we haven't been teaching that for thousands of years now in most places.
Mm-hmm.
So everybody's confused. They don't know. They don't understand what's my role. What's
Totally.
as a man, am I supposed to be in charge? And women are supposed, and it's like no. It's the other way around. And if women understood that as well, right? And supported other women in that way as well. So it's a big, deep subject, right? But, to get to the core of it, the solution is not just to, lock them away, rid the world of them. Obviously that's not possible, completely. But it's to continue to do this healing work and continue to favor communication over that sort of abrupt victim, perpetrator, rescuer. I was the victim of you, now I need to get you back, so now I'm the perpetrator, you're the victim, and then I need to keep anyone from doing that to anyone else, so now I'm the rescuer. And then as soon as someone does it to someone else, I'm the victim again. And we dance around this whole thing, and we don't get anywhere. So as painful and horrible as all of that is, the core of it is the healing process that needs to happen. Yeah. And that's what we're working towards. And we can't, I'm like you. I've also experienced those things as a man, interestingly enough, on the flip side. But the core here is that we don't allow that to continue to take our power, right? Mm-hmm. And inform us. Yeah. So thanks for asking that, because that's just it. It's like, how do we get there from here? And it's not even a personal experience like that necessarily. It's like I said, you look out in the world and you see what's happening with these processes and these people in charge. And you go, oh my God, you know, what's going to happen? How do we get there? But we can. We have no choice. We're going to get there one way or the other. You know, it's just how hard and how long do we drag it out? Or do we empower ourselves? Yeah.
And homeopathically, like you were saying,
Mm-hmm.
just to not succumb to the overwhelmingness of it, because it is so huge. But
Yeah.
if just in this room, or even as individuals, we have take responsibility for changing our thoughts, or take time to light a candle, or to do something each
Yeah,
day.
do something different, right? One of the primary shamanic training idioms or whatever mottos is, you know, don't collude with the consensus. First thing you want to do is, when everyone else is saying hang 'em, you go, maybe not. Let me be the first to, you know, object and not collude with the consensus, and then figure out what to do. Then it may still lead to something, but you know, it's you don't change anything until you're the one who says maybe everyone's wrong.
Or let's do it differently.
And let's do it differently. Let's try. There's a different way. So that's exactly the point. Stop for a moment. Don't collude. Don't buy into it. And again, that starts with as true a communication as we can possibly get. And that is an exercise and a skill, if you will, that again starts within you. You know, and Byron Katie does this amazing work where it's very hardcore, where she uses this approach of when you say something like, yeah, that person did this to me, or this happened, they're doing this, and you're supposed to first ask, is that really true? Can you know for sure that your perception of what is happening is actually true? Because we project, we don't really know what's going on inside other people. It's so difficult to know that. So the first thing you have to do is stop and go, do I know for sure that's why they did that? There could be a dozen reasons why someone commits the same act, and they can all be different, and that's true. There's all kinds of different reasons why people do things. And it won't necessarily be the way you do it. So that's where projection is a dangerous thing, to assume that everyone else would do something because that's why you would do it. And that's just natural that we do that, because we can't, it's hard to put ourselves in everybody else's shoes. So that's your first thing that you do, is that must be why they did it. Because that's what and so you've got to, you've got to offer that possibility that you don't know for sure. Then you flip it. Then she actually has you go and like put your, so like they are doing that to me, you change it to I am doing that to them. And then everything goes, time stops. Because it's such a weird thing to do that, because you go, I would never do that. I'm not doing it. But if you flip it like that, it actually creates this dissonance, this moment that you can then move through the rigid, way of looking at things, and possibly offer an opportunity to communicate with yourself in a way that could turn out to be much more helpful than what was happening before. So that's good work. So that's the other piece, is to sort of question what you think is your truth or your truths. Take a second look at them, and see if there's another option, another truth, another way. So truth becomes something that we stop searching for, and we more bring it in the shamanic traditions. We more decide, well, what would be a more serving truth? If I'm certain about this belief and it's only going to lead to more battle, with that person, can I choose a different belief that might offer a different approach to that person. And then, everything changes. So this is all, obviously very sort of heady stuff. But I think then the first opportunity we have is to open up the communication channels within. So we're doing that between our brain and the rest of our body and the different parts of our brain. That we're able to really talk to ourselves, the internal dialogue, in a way that is more unifying rather than dividing. Because if you can practice that with yourself, there's a much better chance you can do that with that person. There's those things, there's like coursework and such, like the nonviolent communication practices, and this is part of that. This is how are you doing that with yourself and with others? Are you doing it in a gentle, allowing, sort of embracing way? Or are you doing it in this, violent way? So so it's important that we learn to communicate with ourselves first in a way that's embracing, unifying, allowing. I want to say forgiving, but that implies that there's something to forgive. To forgive yourself of. And when you look at things in this broader sense of no victim, no perpetrator, no need for rescuer, there's nothing that happens that truly needs to be forgiven. Because there's a broader picture at play. There's a bigger picture. There's always a bigger story behind the one that we thought, the little limited one, that says, that hurt, so it must have been bad. So we've gone from a normal painful experience in the theater to a judgment that it's bad. But a bad thing can happen to you, and then a year later it turns out to be the best thing that ever happened to you? Right? How can that be? Oh my God, it went from bad to good. How can that? But it was, you had to wait till it was obvious. And then you went, okay, I see. Maybe it was okay. So if you apply that to everything, if you apply it to even the absolute madness, the worst thing that's happening on the planet today, there's this possibility that there's a bigger picture at play that you can't judge. You can say, I don't like it and it hurt, and I'd rather I didn't participate in that, and I'd rather. Then you make your choice of discernment. But if you start to say it's bad, now you've got a battle on your hands, because you've got to stop all the bad people. Which implies you're the good people. And then you do something wrong and you go, oh, am I really good people or am I bad people too? Now you've got your internal battle. Right? See how easy that is? That's just like such a thing we fall into so easily, and it's like, you don't have to do that. You can stop and go, wait. Let's just embrace it all and then act the way we would want to act. But, just the act of embracing it all within you is so powerful. If we can just do that tonight, it's huge, the impact that it will have, because it'll spread. So, how about we do this? Each of you can choose a stone from my mesa for this journey. Because what we want to do, what I'd like to do is like they did to my brain, is basically remove the membranes, remove the differences within you, the things that are not communicating clearly. Do you know what I mean? And so the stone will help you do that. So you can come up, grab a stone that you can hold on to while we do the journey. And so our intention really for this journey is to again break down any barriers, any divisions within you. Okay, and the drum beat, the stone, the journey we take now will stop time, and it will shake all that stuff loose. It's sort of like stopping the truck and taking the stuff out of the back gently, and then making the left turn and then putting everything back that you want. Leave the stuff you don't want anymore. That's okay. All right? So take a few deep breaths. Use one of the beautiful drums here that Maria and me are selling. Okay. In through your nose, out through your mouth. fertilizer that creates the plants, the food. And I want you to see that light that comes through. See it intensify as it flows through you, burning away any boundaries, any barriers, any doubts, any divisions within you. You become the divine light being that you've always been. Continue that until you feel like your entire being is engulfed in this powerful flow, this powerful stream of source energy and light as it flows from the source down into the earth through you. And it cleanses your mind as well. It informs your brain, your mind, of who's actually in charge, of the bigger story, the unknown and the unknowable, the divine feminine. The wisdom of your gut, your heart, your body. Of perfect harmony and unity and balance. And we want the mind to serve that. We want your mind to think the thoughts, to maintain that feeling of unity and harmony within, not the other way around. not a single thing that anyone says or does, or that you say or do, could ever diminish that flow. And you keep your power as the creator of your experiences, and of the one who influences a world of empowered and healed and whole people. And before we come back, I just want you to feel what that world feels like. Beautiful communication amongst all the different kinds of people. All the diversity. Beautiful, allowing, respectful communication. An appreciation for the diversity. True gratitude for the differences and the discernment that you get to practice here and allow others to practice. Now make your way back into your heart and see the blood rushing and the valves working. That universal heart. Back into your torso. And make your way back upward. Feeling and witnessing the increased clarity of your new story. A fresh start as of this moment. We only have this moment and the moments ahead of us. Back up through your throat and behind your mouth and behind your eyes. With your lotus brain above you. And if there's anything left that you feel you need to release, that your brain is struggling with in any way, still, blow it into the stone 3 times. takes a little bit for the brain and your experiential life to catch up to what we've just done. You're still operating off of the signal from a few days ago. So even though I've given you a lot of words and they're sitting in there and we did this journey on this deep energetic and mythic layer, it's going to take a little bit for it all to unwind and really sink in, as they say, and integrate all these words for it. But yeah. And remember that unity and harmony doesn't mean numbness. It's that we're not here not to feel anger and frustration and, sadness. All of that is absolutely celebrated, absolutely a part of the story. It doesn't mean you're doing anything wrong. That's discernment. It's okay to go, ugh. That really, that person, that thing they're saying, that's quite all right. If you expect to be blissed out all the time, then you truly can't get there from here. You know what I mean? It's really okay to feel, as a human being and part of the drama. It's just how long do you hold on to it? What are the thoughts you're choosing to either feed it or be a powerful creator of your experience? Dream the world into being. That's where it gets, that's where your power comes in now. Because you go from the initial reaction here, like I said, it's put the cart before the horse. It's not that you're feeling, I can feel that feels horrible. It's the story you begin to wrap. It's what this then follows. Oh, I feel horrible, that must be horrible. It's actually, no, it's the other way around. Your feeling is dependent on, that thought you choose in the moment. So, the initial thing is, oh, that's horrible, I feel horrible, but then you go, okay, what's another truth can I go broader? Can I do the broad perspective? Can I say, I really don't know how this is all going to play out, so can I relax a little bit and wait and see? Can I choose a thought that feels better? And in doing so, that's the signal that then goes out into the world and begins to influence and create the world as well. So that's your power. Don't let the unruly mind control everything. You can get it in control. You can choose thoughts that are different, perspectives, perceptions. We're not used to that, but it takes time to practice that. Yeah. Okay. Any questions? Any thoughts?
That was beautiful.
Oh, thank you so much. Yeah, the work that I do individually and with couples and groups, is, we've all done tremendously well tonight to get through what this strange thing I've talked about, and the strange way I've talked about it in this journey, and there are old patterns and imprints that sometimes we're holding on to that make it, I had you actually release some of that tonight. That's what these stones do, but that healing process is sometimes necessary, to go through to get clearer and clearer and have this be easier and easier. And again, it's more the easy way. So that's what I offer, when I work individually, and you're welcome to, consider a session, and I have colleagues and friends that do the same work, and, who you resonate with is important to you. So just let me know if you ever need to get a hold of me. My website's dreamingintobeing.com. Email's John, Jon, at dreamingintobeing.com. So. All right, I think that's it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks, John. Thank you so much.
Did we put our stones back?
Oh, yeah.